Yeah, no official hat today. Too cold. I gotta read you guys something. I was looking for something online and I just came across, believe it or not, an obituary for your New York City Liquidators. I gotta pull this up here, but I'm gonna have to read it off the computer because I couldn't print it out. And it's okay. This was February of 2015 in the New York Press, I believe. Let me see. Try to get this up here. It wasn't the cleanest place in town or the best organized. They didn't have the most knowledgeable staff or a selection that rivaled Kim's or TLA. But there was something about New York City Liquidators that compelled me to stop there at least once a week, sometimes more, and never leave empty-handed. It would have been easy to walk past the place without noticing. Sometimes even when I was looking for it, I had trouble finding it. It was almost invisible, nestled with a dozen other uninviting industrial storefronts on that block of West 27th Street between 6th and 7th Avenue. They didn't go to a lot of effort to advertise, figuring the people who needed them would find them. And we were right. Once you got inside, things were no more inviting. Everything was gray and dim. The aisles weren't wide enough for two people. The pricing system was a mystery. Half-empty cardboard boxes littered the floor, and the employees, in parenthesis, were a shady-looking lot who mostly just hung around. Shady-looking lot? Okay. But combing through the racks of DVDs and videotapes, I always found something that made the visit worthwhile, something rare or long out of print or so basic that I'd never bothered to pick it up. New York City Liquidators was mostly known for their porn section, but they had much more than that. A big kung fu and blaxploitation section. Dozens of cheap Mexican horror films and American public domain titles. They carried new releases from Roger Corman and Anchor Bay. They also had CDs, posters, detritus of all kinds stuffed into the shadowed corners. But I stuck with the movies, which, rare or not, were incredibly cheap. The short, stooped, craggy old man in charge was a remarkable New York character by the name of Norman Brill. He had sad eyes, jowls like a bulldog, a great shock of white hair, and spent most of his time on a stool behind the cash register. He intimidated me at first, as all I heard him do was yell into the phone, yell at employees, yell at delivery man. And me, he mostly ignored except to tell me how much I owed. Over time, though, I saw beneath the gruff exterior and noticed that nobody else seemed to take his yelling seriously. He did yell a lot. The very last time I was in there, I didn't know then that it would be the last time I would be poring through the tapes when I saw that shock of white hair moving down the next aisle. When he turned the corner and saw me, he stopped. "Haven't seen you in a while," he said. "Yeah, it's been pretty busy at work. Oh, it's good to see you." Then he smiled warmly and continued on his way. I had no idea he had even noticed me before. A few days later, I learned that he had died, and despite his son's promises to the contrary, the store was shut down a few weeks after that. And to this day, not a week passes that I don't wish I could still swing by there on my way home just to see what they had. And I guess that's about the best legacy that store could have. Yeah, I miss fucking Norm every day, and I say that constantly. But onward to more films. Went back on my little crime thing the other day, and I picked out two films that I'd seen on a double bill somewhere in New York on the Deuce. The Outfit and The Split. Now, The Split was 68, The Outfit was 73, so had to be around 73 that I saw this, because that's when I was really starting to hang out there a lot. The Split was the first time I think Jim Brown was the star of a film. It had a great cast. Ernest Borgnine, Warren Oates, Diana Carroll, Julie Harris, Jack Klugman, Ernest Borgnine. Did I say that before? Anyway. The premise is that Jim Brown wants to get a crew together to pull a heist on a football game, which would basically net them $500,000. So he recruits Ernie, Warren, Jack, and Donald Sutherland, who, this is actually Donald's first American film. I think, if I recall right, he had to borrow the money to fly over to do this. Of course, him, Jim Brown, and Ernie were just off of the Dirty Dozen. So anyway, they put this together. The heist works out where they basically get inside before anything happens, corner the people that work there and keep guns on them, while they keep bringing in the money and they keep stacking it in boxes, and then escape. Well, they get away. Well, they figured the best place to hide the money, according to the Julie Harris character, is at Diana Carroll's apartment, because she's Jim Brown's old girlfriend. Nobody would think of looking there. But there's a creepy landlord played by James Whitmore who is interested in Diana Carroll and starts saying something about jacking the rent, but then it becomes increasingly obvious to what he wants. And she tries to get out of his way and get him out of the apartment, but he opens one of the drawers and finds one of the machine guns used in the heist along with the money. And for whatever fucked up reason, he machine guns Diana Carroll and then puts a white bedspread over her, and you just see the blood start seeping through this. Then he calls the cops and reports a murder after taking the money, obviously. Well, Jim Brown gets the call that something's going on, gets over there just as the cops are arriving, and books, realizing the money is gone, she's dead, and who took the fucking money. Well, he sees a newspaper article that basically this landlord was killed by a police detective played by Gene Hackman, who was also, one of the leads, but doesn't show up till about 2/3 into the film. Jim goes after his cohorts in crime and pitbulls them to find out which one of them stole the money. Well, none of them did, so they all turn around and figure, well, guess what? He did. Well, they get him in a steam room because the Ernest Borgnine character owns a gym, and they start beating the shit out of him, and they're going to basically steam him with red-hot steam until he gets the upper hand and shoves Donald Sutherland's face into it, but somebody takes a shot and the Julie Harris character hits the floor. So now there's 3 of them and Jim Brown. Jim goes right to the police station and confronts the detective played by Gene Hackman and tells him, I know you got the money, I know what you did, and you can keep 1/6 of it, but the rest is mine, and then tells him that, you know what's going to happen? If you don't do this, you're going to have 3 real pissed off fucking people looking for you. So Gene agrees to take him where the money is, but they wind up that they're being shadowed by the unholy 3. So Gene leads them to some kind of a junkyard where there's a very dark confrontation. And I don't mean dark in the sense of dark, I mean darkly filmed. This is the problem with this movie altogether. Some of it's shot so dark you can't even see it. And of course, all 3 of the bad guys are dispatched eventually, but sometimes you don't even see it. Gene gives up his, the money except for his cut, and it ends with Jim Brown going to the airport, then hearing a voice that looks like it belongs to the Julie Harris character who you thought was dead. Real strange and fucked up ending, which is sort of typical of films of that era, but this was just, it didn't work. I mean, you had a great cast, you had some great actors in there, but it just didn't work. And the segue is that next year, Ernest Borgnine and Warren Oates would become part of the Wild Bunch. And a backstory is that during the fight with Jim Brown, Ernie broke his foot. So when you watch the Wild Bunch, the end scene, you can notice Ernie is visibly limping because his foot hasn't healed yet. So let's go on to the outfit in 1973, because Earl, played by Robert Duvall, is just getting out of prison and finds out that his brother has just been gunned down by a bunch of hitmen. It seems that before these 3 guys, a guy named Cody, played by Joe Don Baker, and Earl and his brother, robbed a bank that was belonging to the outfit. Now the outfit wants revenge. Well, they killed his brother. They sent a couple hitmen after Cody. One of the hitmen is perennial heavy Tom Reese, who was like 6'2", and he's got a chiseled head like a bulbous nose, like it's a lump of clay with eyes put in. I mean, the guy is nasty looking, and he's been in a ton of films as a heavy, and I think his first role was in the Elvis Presley vehicle, Flaming Star. So he's one of those familiar faces that you just go, I know I've seen this guy. But anyway, Earl gets a hold of Cody and gets his girlfriend, his own girlfriend, Karen Black, who was used as an ashtray by one of the bad guys, played by Timothy Carey. So Earl decides to give Tim a receipt and breaks into a poker game, cleans out the game, and shoots Tim in the hand just for shits and giggles. Tim goes to the big boss, Mailer, played by Robert Ryan, who says, you better take care of this. You have the problem. The problem is that basically Earl and Cody feel they owed $250,000 in restitution for his brother getting killed. So what they are doing is they're hitting all kinds of mob-run organizations and cleaning them out. Finally, they confront Mailer, who is none too happy, and he claims that, okay, I'll pay them. In the interim, they have to switch cars, and they go to these two hillbilly mechanics, played by Richard Jekyll and Bill McKinney, and make a deal to get a different car, because this car was the car they were having was obviously recognized. But then they have an incident with Bill's slutty wife, played by Sherry North, who claims that Cody tried to rape her, and there's an incident with that. So anyway, they're supposed to get paid off by Mailer, but it's a double cross and they get out. But in leaving, they are pulled over by two state troopers. And the state troopers are on the payroll of Mailer, so there's a big fucking shootout there. But unfortunately, Karen Black's character catches one in the back of the head and has to be taken to an undertaker and a death certificate filled out or whatever. Cody and Earl go to Mailer's house and take his ass out, but Cody is wounded, and they basically fake everybody out by sneaking Cody in an ambulance and taking off, and they're laughing as they drive away and the credits roll. This is a really good fucking film, and that blows the other one away. And it cast, you know, not only Robert Ryan, Timothy Carrier, Richard Jekyll, Bill McKinney, Sherry North, Marie Windsor, Joanna Cassidy, Archie Moore, Tom Reese, and Elijah Cook Jr. How could you beat that? So these are all available on DVD or Blu-ray or probably on a streaming service. So really, two really good flicks. Something else I have to address. I've been trying to resolve a situation for over a year now. And it seems that my former publisher, who owes me royalties, is refusing to pay me, not returning emails, just basically ghosting me. And we've had this problem before with them bad-mouthing me all over the internet and spreading malicious rumors and shit. And I just want to say one thing. I never ask anybody for anything. I never monetize this channel to get over on my fans. And I would truly appreciate it if you did not buy anything of mine that doesn't come directly from me or a company I deal with. In other words, anything that's published that you see on Amazon other than my DVDs, I'm not getting paid for, and I'm owed a lot of money. So please, if you want back issues of Grindhouse Purgatory, try to contact me directly and I'll do the best I can with the little stock I have. But I'm just getting really tired of being jerked around and badmouthed by two people who basically have used me to make money and have not paid me my end. And in essence, they're also screwing all the other writers who wrote for Grindhouse Purgatory. We never made any money on this, but it's obviously that they're making money on it because it seems that something with my name on it sells, and that's not ego, that's fact, and something with their name barely gets by. So please, I'd really appreciate it if you didn't do business with anybody but me and the companies that represent me, like Midnight Sales and things like that. When I get stuff available, I'll let you know where to buy it directly from me. And this has been a problem all along because it seems like everybody makes money except for the artists. So my thanks for that. And I thank you for tuning in. I thank you for subscribing. And we'll catch you on the flip side. Stay safe. You have to go out.